Howdy folks and welcome. I hope this finds you well. Wow, it's good to be back. Today I'm excited to go through the main story of StarCraft 2, analyzing not only the gameplay, visuals, audio, and story, but how it all holds up now, retrospectively. If you haven't watched my StarCraft 1 retrospectives or need a bit of a refresher into the universe, links to those videos and more will be down below. For returning subscribers, you know I have a passion for the characters in StarCraft, the setting in which they find themselves in, and the overall spectacle Blizzard was able to pull off all the way back in the 90s. Reading the comments from my StarCraft 1 videos, it seemed like the consensus was that StarCraft 2 was a miss, some calling it cartoonish or childish, noting the lack of depth in characters and storyline. I was a little taken aback at that, since that's not how I remembered the game. And oh boy, I haven't been this excited to show off that I was nerdy literally 14 years ago, but I have my credentials to boot. Yep, read 'em and weep. I played the absolute you-know-what out of this game when it first came out, and for a good amount of time after that. Not only did I finish the campaign on brutal difficulty, I was an avid multiplayer user, and mostly went Marines. Sorry. For this retrospective, I will not be subjugating myself to the hurt and pain that the brutal campaign would cause, even though there will be times where my trauma will flare up on a certain mission or two, and I will be flashing back to the strategies that I had to memorize for the game. Anyways, this is a long-winded way of saying that I think StarCraft 2 got a bad rap on release, has a bad rap now, and for no reason. Okay, there might be some small things, but overall, StarCraft 2 not only met my expectations 14 years later, it blew them away. Blizzard could not have made StarCraft 2 as a carbon copy of the original classic. It would not have worked in 2010, but they couldn't revolutionize their product, fearing backlash from their ultra-dedicated fanbase. In my opinion, I don't think they could have won over everyone, but what they do implement in terms of storytelling, that being this 2D adventure click homage during beautifully animated menus, and rich environmental storytelling, resonated with me strongly. I was really blown away by it, since I do remember being on the bandwagon of StarCraft 2 characters are bland, yada yada. What I found was so much more depth in the characters, and the progressions they go through during the space epic. If you take the time and go through your dialogue options after each mission, listen to the briefings focusing on which planet you'll choose, hint there are a lot of familiar names, or watch the hilariously too real news network, what you'll come to find is the beloved universe that has been expanded upon in so many beautiful and interesting ways. Regardless of the many campy moments or the straight up weird sexism from some of the people you meet along the way, StarCraft 2 delivers so many great unique moments that I really think it needs to be revisited as one of the better games in the 2010s. But you know I can't just say that without any evidence, and there's a lot of it, at least in my opinion. So, let's get this retrospective started.
You got my attention.
Quick recap of StarCraft 1's ending: Kerrigan betrays her allies and slips away into the depths of space. 13 years later, we start off the game with this iconic opening cinematic, and Blizzard always delivers in this department.
You'll carry your prison with you. That armor will be your new cell. Make no mistake. War is coming. With all its glory. And all its horror. Mr. Findlay, your freedom awaits.
Hell, it's about time.
The second the voice starts, anyone that played the first game will immediately know who's speaking. That's Arturas Minsk. It's a great way to signify to the player that this will be a continuation of the story from the first one, and if you're new, well, it's just a pretty badass voice. Now, there are a lot of details in the first cutscene, like what's on the terminal giving information. It's also awe-inspiring to see the creation of the Marine. Much like Ghost in a Shell, and this won't be the last time I mention that, there's something magical and harrowing seeing this person fitted into a suit, which is pretty much a mini prison on its own. If you're not hyped after this, look, I don't know what floats your boat. Playing through this time, I definitely forgot how much story Blizzard wanted to put into the game, and it shows with the next scene. They have to set up the world somehow, and I think they do a decent job at balancing straightforward storytelling with player-initiated choice storytelling, something I'm a big fan of. In essence, having a base story that everyone can follow while also adding the ability for the player to dive deeper into the narrative on their own accord gave StarCraft 2 a special feeling compared to the original. Now, I'm not saying it's better because I do love the Zoom chat rooms from the first game, and I think we need to hand it to Blizzard on how they went about telling this story, especially with the use of the TV news, which adds on greatly to the universe. Anyways, not much has changed since we last saw Raynor, other than he shoots TVs. Jokes aside, Raynor is now more of an outlaw than he once was, I guess. Manx is still ruling the Dominion, and we have a sweet-ass laptop. Our first mission is Backwater on Mara Sara, a planet we know well. We'll come to see later on how progression affects the game and is balanced within the plot as well, more so than other RTS games I've played. This first mission, Raynor is a small outlaw that, yes, is still talked about by the Dominion as a terrorist, but in reality, he doesn't have that much power at first. You can see the amazing visual details Blizzard put in, and this is the first thing that really struck me as an upgrade from the first game. I really love the missions on Terran worlds in the first game because you could see the low-res shops and it gave me an old Fallout feel. In StarCraft 2, the use of higher detailed advertisements, structures, environment, and more lends itself heavily into the feeling the player gets while going through the mission. Each world feels unique, and I love the political revolt you see brewing. StarCraft 2 is also more cinematic than its predecessor, which I think threw people off on release. However, in retrospect, I enjoyed the direction that was given, even if half the time it was kind of corny.
Be given a meal when you reach the dig site.
My brother went off to the mine last week. He disappeared.
We got a runner.
They're shooting civilians! Move in!
Our mission is to destroy the Dominion's logistic headquarters, and if possible, destroy the hollow boards, as they're called. Another thing StarCraft 2 does well is side objectives. It always gave me something to do during each mission, and they're not just there for the sake of being there. Usually they will give you upgrades for your research or troops for battle within the mission, both advantageous. Oh Jimmy, you're such a badass. I love that outro music.
Now you've got the weapons and the resources to do it. Remember, Minx can only control you if you let him.
We're greeted by another cutscene, and I hope you're ready for a lot of them, because this game is half cutscenes, it feels like. No worries on my end, but we're probably going to skirt 2 hours here, so I hope you're comfy.
You know, for the most wanted man in the sector, you ain't that hard to find. I had to see it for myself. Little Jimmy Raynor, the people's hero.
I love the way Jimmy eyes his pistol, and we meet one of the best characters in the game, Tychus. Tychus informs Jimmy that Mengsk is trying to locate ancient alien artifacts, and that Tychus has been tasked with recruiting Jimmy to take on the Dominion. Tychus and Jimmy apparently go way back and were partners before, so it's not horribly implausible that Raynor goes in on this deal, plus the side bit of screwing over Mengsk. But that's the theme throughout this game, and one that I question myself. Tychus is obviously evil, right?
I guess I can hardly pass that up now. Can I, Tychus?
Partners then. 60-40.
70-30. My way. Feels like old times already.
Old times.
From the first cutscene, we kind of get that his freedom is for a price, one we don't know. I had to think about this a lot, and in the end came to my conclusion that Raynor knows that in this moment, Tychus isn't fully to be trusted. But you only live once, and the enemy of an enemy is a friend. Also, again, with the visuals and storytelling, this won't be the last time you see Raynor drinking away. Anyways, we get our first look at the way Blizzard restructured how you go about picking missions and finding lore. This 2D adventure click foundation for storytelling and menu design is by far one of the most innovative and impressive UI managements in my 30 years of playing video games. Not only does it make the world feel tangible, but you get to decide if you want to discover certain things. It's not getting spoon-fed, it's being displayed, which at least for me, made the choice enticing. For starters, you have a picture of Kerrigan, you can talk to Tychus, watch the news, or start your next mission. Hearing Raynor's voice talk about Kerrigan is sad, since it's obvious he isn't over her transformation.
Sarah. Sometimes I think it would have been better if you just died that day.
The news crew with Donnie Vermillion is just perfect and absolutely plays to the fascist press, but always over the top, so it's never really depressing. You also get one of my favorite little details in the game, and yes, we're going to tiny details this time around. It's the banner underneath each newsreel. Someone went to great lengths to make up these, even if some repeat, and you'll get some great insights into the world of the Dominion. There was one particular story about some movie star that went missing and had a whole entire arc to it that spanned 10 missions. I might sound like an old curmudgeon, but I wish developers went to these lengths still. It feels like detail-oriented approach is few and far between nowadays. I also wonder if we'll see how ASS is doing, or ASS, that's the ticker on the stock market.
I come to you in the wake of recent events to...
I can't believe ASS is down minus 13 basis points in the time like this.
Sick reference though, bro.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Dude, your references are out of control. Everyone knows that.
I hope it recovered after Brood War. We can also ask Tychus how he got out of prison, and their banter throughout the whole game is top notch. It felt like they had a relationship prior to the game, and both are strong men with a good brain.
Call me curious, but how'd you get out?
Well, I busted out of my cryo freezer while they were transporting me to New Folsom. Oh, I must have killed at least a dozen guards with my bare hands.
Yeah, I've heard this one before. But you left out the part where you walked on water. Made off with the warden's daughter.
Don't you get uppity with me, boy.
Even if Tychus likes to hide it most of the time. The conversation even goes further, and this is where I truly applaud the writers working with the director on this, that leading a revolution is heavy business. StarCraft 2 makes the cost of war a lot more apparent with their usage of all the things we just discussed in the menus. I also love the AI animations. They did a wonderful job with the facial ones, and this was 2010. Compared to other games now, honestly, it's kind of sad some of the stuff that releases nowadays. Our next mission is to take out the Dominion base and steal our first ancient alien artifact. It might be on the nose why you're trying to steal artifacts, but what I've come to realize is that they've implemented that for players not choosing all the dialogue options, which is smart. The mission cutscene briefings are another great addition to the game and let the environment play into the narrative. During this mission, we have another side objective to save citizens while trying to attack the Dominion base. You can really tell that Raynor cares about humans in general, but also kills a lot of humans along the way. I don't know if the ends justify the means, and we'll get to that much later on in the game, But if you had any idea who this guy was, you could probably sense his character.
Just tell us where you want us.
Welcome aboard, boys.
It's Raynor's boys.
We take out the Dominion base easily and grab the crane controls. God damn, this music. Tychus's voice. Yeah, we're in for a treat.
Beautiful. Now let's reel that sucker in and get out of here.
We get back to the bar and can have an interesting back and forth with Tychus about the Zerg. It tells the player that Tychus was nowhere near the events of the first game, or he would have encountered Zerg. There is this flyer, and I know I'm harping on these details a lot right now, but I think it's important to my hypothesis that this game is actually good, lore and gameplay wise. At least for myself as a reviewer and a gamer for almost 25 years, moments like these make me more invested in the game. Plus, knowing that I would be talking about StarCraft lore more in the future makes me excited to start. Honestly, we could be stuck here dissecting each option, but I fear that wouldn't be conducive to anything, so if I don't include a part that you find important, please let me know in the comments below. The next mission is 0 Hour, and this is a beautiful homage to the original mission Desperate Alliance in StarCraft 1.
Of Zerg biosignatures landing at the abandoned dig site.
I should have known it. Damn you, Tychus.
I swear, man, I didn't know nothing about no Zerg.
Given their current course, the Zerg will overrun this location within the hour.
It also solidifies that each mission will give you a new unit or building, which made advancing in the campaign structure fun and rewarding. Blizzard sort of addressed with this one of my biggest gripes with the original game, that being restarting your economy every single mission. But StarCraft 2 sort of band-aids that issue by leaving it to upgrading units outside of the mission. The early missions in StarCraft 2 can feel a bit repetitive economy-wise since you don't have the automatic reactors or that many minerals. Once you do this 4 to 7 times in a row, it can feel a bit tedious. Anyways, nothing special about this mission other than the fact that I keep thinking about when I was 7, playing through Desperate Alliances and adding on a bunker system that I granted the name the Great Wall of Death. Yeah, I was pretty cool back then. One downside to StarCraft 2, or at least observation and possible nostalgia, is that Marines are very overpowered. Again, I did play the campaign on normal, since this is more about the story than me showing off my sweet APM skills. However, almost half of the starting missions could be completely steamrolled by upgraded Marines. Add on to them the stim packs and the upgraded health, there was a reason why I played Terran on ladder. Double barracks, baby! So if you see the map cleaned up by the time we leave a mission, well, you know what I was up to. We finally get evacuated from the Zerg swarms, and oh man, this is pretty cool.
Cavalry's arrived. Anyone still alive down there?
Good to see you, Matt. Welcome to the party.
Glad we made it in time, sir. Now let's get you boys out of there.
Damn, Jimmy. You've been holding out on me.
Cutting it pretty close there, Matt.
Never left you hanging before, sir.
Fair enough. Just get us the hell out of here.
All batteries, concentrate forward firepower. Spin up drives 2 and 6. All hands brace for warp jump on my mark. Mark.
What the hell happened? We ain't seen the Zerg in years. Why attack Marsara now?
It's not just Marsara. You need to see this.
Zerg Swarm launched a full-scale attack.
Devastation spread throughout all Outer Rim planets.
Sustained heavy losses.
Casualties in the billions.
Minutes ago, the Zerg attacked a Dominion military research facility.
Now, I say cool because I truly thought this was an amazing scene, even if it had some teenage drama written all over it. And that's StarCraft 2 to the point, right? The direction for gritty sci-fi space war is there, but there's a lot more one-liners and tonal changes from characters that I can understand them not fitting into the genre. It would be like playing Space Marine and randomly after crushing a Tyranid's head go, "Can't bite the hand that feeds you." Okay, that's pretty cool, but also I think I had fantasies like this back in high school. Anyways, I do love this scene. We're told that the Zerg not only have invaded Mara Sara after years of being MIA, but have started a full sector invasion. Side note, love this callback to the Brood War cinematic using the arrows. Great touch.
Of all the myriad Zerg forces, and it was believed to be planning an invasion of the Earth itself.
And we see a familiar face.
Sweet mother of mercy.
Exclusive video footage confirms the Queen of Blades is in fact leading the swarm.
Again, this is such a neat and effective way of telling a story, plus the gladiator music. We're in for a real treat.
We always knew she'd be back, but what's she after?
She's come to finish the job.
We also get this pretty great line from Raynor after Horner asks if Tychus is staying on the ship. Just goes to show Raynor has a good head on his shoulders, but also is never letting his guard down.
He helped me out of a real bind a few years back. I owe him.
Well, your friend has a criminal record as long as...
Mine? Believe me, if Tychus Finley wanted me dead, I'd be dead already.
Understood, sir.
Always thinking about possibilities, at least for now. If the bar menu was something to be ecstatic about, I applauded when we got to the ship's menu. Not only are all the details unique, adding onto the story and universe the player finds themselves in, it also shows the scale on which the universe relies on. What I mean by that is being able to quote-unquote walk around the battlecruiser goes to show how big of a ship it is, how many humans it takes to function as a whole, and it made me feel bad about losing so many later on. The side characters we can talk with aren't Oscar winning, but Swan, the Doctor, Horner, and people we meet along the way do a fine job at their roles, and it makes it feel more like a community than random NPCs that just work in the same space. Swan informs us that we can upgrade our units, and this is one of the best departures from the original games. Having the ability to upgrade units after completing missions with credits incentivizes the player not only to try in more story missions, but resource manage at home. Also, Raynor exclaims when they can get new weapons or tech, which again works not only in a narrative element, but also gameplay wise. You're a rebel still, even with one battlecruiser. Raynor won't have everything at his disposal starting off, and unlocking units and mercenaries always felt rewarding. I feel like a lot of people that talk shit about this game's underlying story didn't talk with many of the side characters that reveal a lot of the backstory. I always wondered how Raynor got the ship, but if you talk with Tychus, you'll get your answer. It's moments like these where I think to myself, how much did I miss when I first played? Turns out Raynor and Horner stole the ship from Mengsk himself. Yet, it's not just about the ship that's talked about. We also get the inquiry into why Tychus hasn't taken off his marine armor yet. This is super important to integrity of the story, since Raynor and Horner definitely have their apprehensions about Tychus, especially since his story keeps changing. But there are bigger threats to deal with, like the Zerg.
Incoming transmission.
Thank you so much for responding to our distress call, Commander. I'm Dr. Ariel Hansen, and I represent the people of the Agria colony.
Pleasure to meet you, Doc. You can call me Jim. What's the situation?
Raynor needs all the help he can get. I think I like StarCraft 2's story a little bit more now as an adult, because Raynor does not have an easy choice, ever it seems. Jimmy is constantly trying to balance all sides, even though we don't really know why at this point. The enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of deal. There are bigger fish to fry, but you also don't want to get stabbed in the back, so it'll be interesting to see how he balances it all out. We get to our next mission select, and even though I do like the appearance of choice, you are able to complete almost every mission your first time playing, apart from I think 2 deviating choices. Now for brutal difficulty campaign, I'm pretty sure there is a right order to go, since missions unlock certain units and certain units are necessary for certain missions. Luckily, we just click on the science woman. Again, the sense of scale and visualization of what you're tasked with is such a monumental leap from StarCraft 1. For this alone, I give it an award. The highway mission isn't too hard, and nothing out of left field. The biggest thing that could get the player is how quickly the first couple of convoys go out. Not only did I like the concept of this level, that being building up a quick force and protecting the civilian convoys as they slowly march along, but building out my defenses along the road was epic, and really added a great visual. Now, this might be a symptom of either playing the game before or playing while recording, but some of these timed levels take a while. I think I could have done a bit of cutting when it came to time constraints with many of these levels, and you'll see what I mean later on. For now, we load up the last of the colonists safely and get the hell out of Dodge. Well, at least some people.
We've lost the colony, but my people got out alive, thanks to you, Commander.
We come back to the ship and Dr. Hansen agrees to join our ragtag crew. We also meet the mercenary specialist, who's pretty cool I guess, even though I rarely used mercs until the end. We get a quick news brief from Mengsk picking a supreme commander for the defense against the Zerg onslaught, but I'm always reading the little banner below since whoever wrote it deserves a raise for their humor.
By the hero of Taurus himself, General Horace Warfield.
Yes, austerity measures for me are funny. I immediately think of Europe in the early 2010s, and maybe that's why they reference it. I also want to focus on how the news uses propaganda against Raynor. I really like this mode of storytelling because it's truly insidious. This news channel is broadcast to all of the Dominion worlds, influencing billions of humans. We'll see what language they use to try to tarnish Raynor's reputation and establish their own narrative.
Up next, Raynor ups his campaign of terror just as the Zerg reappear. Coincidence? You decide after these messages.
Yet, on to our next mission, Smash and Grab, which had two names that I was very familiar with, and if you played the original game should spark some interest. First, Mobius, the shady tech company that freed Tychus, has asked us again to grab an ancient artifact, yet this time it's described as a Xel'Naga artifact, the progenitor race who created both Protoss and Zerg. On top of that, the Tal'Darim are mentioned guarding the damn thing, and if you've watched my lore videos, well, you know what choice they made long ago. Anyways, we chose smashing, and again, this is a great use of adding a mechanic to a mission so it doesn't feel stale. Another great change from the original. Constantly having to look at the Zerg progression while also fighting into the Protoss was a great duality and made for intense gameplay. And yes, this destroyed me as a kid.
What the? By the numbers, this better be good. I got a crew coming down to pick up the artifact.
We got what we came for. Let's hightail it out of here.
I forgot how resourceful you were, Jim. I won't make that mistake twice.
Kerrigan.
Oh my god, yeah, Kerrigan's voice in this game is top notch, and that sent a shiver down my spine. Like this next cutscene. Just imagine being in first person during a Zerg invasion with the Queen of Blades. Blizzard, come on, give us this. So, Horner catches Tychus looking at the footage. Tychus makes an interesting comment about Kerrigan not looking tough, so obviously he has no idea her capabilities from the previous game. Also, Tychus's response to Horner subtly telling him that Raynor and Kerrigan used to be close is priceless.
They were close once.
Wait a minute. You're telling me they were shacked up?
Even though the closest Jimmy got to her was the first mission they meet. We also get access to our research lab and meet Stetman. This was another part of the world building that I absolutely loved, and Blizzard again knocks the visuals out of the park. We also get our research program, which again is a great way to reward the player for going above and beyond the normal mission parameters. Also, it was kind of high fantasy in StarCraft universe for some of these, like who smoked weed and thought of an auto refinery? If those blueprints got out, every SCV from the Kalmorian mining company to the Dominion would be making them. And the last research choice for Zerg, you can make a fucking psi emitter from the first game. Yeah, the one that the player destroyed, then found again, and then destroyed. Yeah, it's a great touch. Hansen asks Raynor about Kerrigan, but Jimmy likes to drink more than talk. Please don't be like Jimmy in this regard.
What happened to her?
She was a casualty of war. No offense, Doc, but I really don't like to talk about it.
What's it matter anyway? Putting that bitch down would be doing everyone a favor.
I thought it was just about the money with you, Tychus.
Speaking of drinking, Raynor goes back to the bar and confronts Tychus about why the Queen of Blades is after the same artifacts that they are, which Tychus of course deflects. Raynor and Horner both know what seeing the Queen of Blades means for them, especially now with how she's after the same treasure.
And after all these years,
we've got to stop her, Matt. No matter what she's after.
Well, we gave her a setback today. The artifacts are obviously important to her. I just wish we knew why.
Our next mission finds us in Redstone, a volcanic planet. Volcanic planets are the snakes to Indiana Jones of Raynor's life. Nothing good happens on these planets for him. I enjoyed this mission a lot back in the day and now. It was great practice to get your APM up and alertness when SCVs were in danger. Having hotkeys to quickly swap between buildings or units was essential, since one false move and all your SCVs would be gone and mission over. Yes, mission over. You can fail if you spend too many resources as well. We also learn about Tosh, a renegade ghost, who again, you might question why even allow them on board, but the old adage of an enemy is a friend rings true here. Again, at least for now. You can talk to Tychus about Tosh and get a really cool little tidbit.
Ghost program that produced some real scary badasses. Word was, Tosh snapped and went rogue. I'd play it real cool with that kind. He'd cut your throat soon as look at you.
I've dealt with rogue ghosts before. It's the one still working for Menks I got a problem with.
Another great world building aspect is the unit descriptions in the cargo bay. Not only are these well written and give insight into each new unit you unlock, but there is that quintessential dark, dry humor Blizzard is known for. Tosh joins the ship and offers us another job. Jimmy will consider the option, but for now, we choose Mission Outbreak.
So what are we looking at, Doc?
Our readings indicate some kind of bio-infestation is spreading through the refugee camps. Even the buildings are being covered by it.
I've seen this kind of thing before. It's a Zerg virus. All we can do is burn it out.
We're tasked with destroying the infested structures throughout the colony, but there is a catch. We can only safely attack the infested buildings during the daytime because at nighttime, it's bad. You'll have to defend wave after wave during the 5-minute nighttime, and even though I had some good upgrades with bunkers and marines, it was still spooky seeing all the infested civilians that we just saved crawling towards us wanting to eat our brains. I liked the back and forth of this level. It felt rewarding to clear out the infestations one by one, plus seeing all the defenses upgraded by the end was a small spectacle.
You did it, Jim. I knew you wouldn't let us down. Now I've got to get my people somewhere safe.
Ain't gonna be so easy, darling. This whole sector's crawling with Zerg.
There's got to be somewhere out there the aliens haven't touched. Some undiscovered paradise waiting just for us.
Thanks for joining us. Our own Kate Lockwell is reporting live from the refugee ship Skinnerd 2 in orbit around the planet Meinhof.
Donnie, the death toll out here is soaring. Massive refugee fleets like this one are struggling to reach the safety of the core worlds. Many of them won't. They're short on food, water, and hope.
We'll discuss how the Dominion will rescue those worlds when we get there.
There's a lot of talk about rescue among the refugees, but they're pinning their hopes on paramilitary and rebel groups such as Raynor's...
Great report, Kate. Live from a refugee ship over Meinhof, where everyone eagerly awaits the Dominion's return.
The news added again. We talk with the doc, and she's convinced that the infestation is done with and has found a new world for her people. Haven. I almost spit out my coffee. Come on, Blizzard. I do enjoy, or quote-unquote enjoy, the news giving us the bigger picture of these refugee ships and thinking about battle cruisers like ours filled with people fleeing the literal hell of the Zerg swarm. That's pretty intense. It's also intense when Raynor and Horner are talking about the infestation. I don't think we give enough credit on how messed up infested Terrans are. The Zerg virus changes their DNA, splitting it and reshaping it like the Zerg did on their homeworld millions of years ago, except it's rapid time for humans, and oh boy, they blow up. Or they used to. We get another mission and another familiar name. Tarsonis. Whoa, Blizzard bringing in all the nostalgia they can. And it's working. This is like World War II vet going back to Normandy to fight 10 years later. Horner wants to disrupt the Dominion train lines, which are carrying valuable assets for Raynor and the boys. I think at this point, I assume that each mission will have some sort of catch or gotcha moment, which I absolutely love. It keeps the player on their toes. For this mission in particular, the way the player explores the map and figures out what's around them is fantastic, and some great game design. You start in the middle, with no sight of anything around you, which automatically made me wary. You are tasked with finding these hover tanks called Diamondbacks, which only serve the purpose, I guess, in this mission, at least for me. It was a great incentive for the player to explore before the first train illuminates its path. I bet you more than half the people thought it was only 2 tracks. At least I distinctly remember I did when I first played. That feeling like a pit dropping in your stomach when the third line was revealed was ingenious, and honestly such a great little moment that I wrote it down on a post-it note to add to the script.
A train is exiting the southern tunnel.
After establishing marine circles all over the tracks, the mission was pretty simple. We take out the last train and find something special.
Sir, we're detecting electrical activity in the wreckage.
Now let's see what they were so fired up to get their hands on.
Adjutant 23-46 online. System recording. New Gettysburg Defense Initiative. Submit access codes.
Well, I'll be. So, Confederate adjutant. What intel's so important that go and dig her up to recover it?
Another check for world building, am I right, fellas? Picking up an adjutant, the literal AI that controls command centers and mission briefings, this was like a Ghost in a Shell movie, but she's a legitimate shell. Raynor wants the information that the Dominion wanted within the AI, but it identifies him, rightly so, as a quote-unquote terrorist, but not as a current one. See, this AI is from the past and still thinks he is in the Sons of Korhal, which is pretty ironic and funny since that is how Jimmy's story starts. Talking to Tychus after the train robbery gives us a bit of insight onto how Raynor and him know each other. I also love the reference to Jimmy's vulture. On to the next mission. So the AI's defenses are a bit too much for Stepman and the boys to figure out, so Horner has found someone with Confederate level knowledge of how to hack into the machine. Unfortunately, they reside in a very undesirable place called Dead Man's Port. I truly love how you get to go to so many worlds during this campaign, and even seeing them from afar during the mission select screen somehow brings me closer into the story. Before we land on the planet, we get a message from a random psycho, Mira, that tells us that our hacker wants to sell the information from the AI to the Dominion of all people, and that he's paid Mira to protect him until the Dominion come. I guess Mira and Raynor have some sort of encounters in the past because she tells Raynor all of this, and if he can come up with the money, then she'll work for him. An enemy of an enemy? Alright, I'll stop. Sorry. Another mission, sort of like the volcano one, but this time it's a contest. I really enjoyed this level. It was a great balancing of what you needed to build with how much you wanted to save up. Exploring was key, finding resources scattered throughout the map. With the hacker dealt with and our AI back in one piece with information at hand, there was a pretty good win for Jimmy and crew.
Well, old girl, we dug you up on Tarsonis. Were you online during the Zerg attack? Do you remember anything about Arcturus Menks being involved?
Menks, Arcturus, ex-Confederate officer, civilian prospector, founder and leader of the Sons of Korhal terrorist group. Status, criminal. Commencing intercepted transmission 0081 to 0086 Alpha.
This is Duke. The emitters are secured and online.
Who authorized the use of psi emitters?
I did, Lieutenant.
What? The Confederates on Antigua were bad enough, but now you're gonna use the Zerg against an entire planet? This is insane!
She's right, man. Think this through.
I have thought it through. Believe me. You all have your orders. Carry them out. I will not be stopped. Not by you, or the Confederates, or the Protoss, or anyone. I will rule this sector, or see it burn to ashes around me.
Uh-oh, Mengsk, you're about to be cancelled. But for real, this is a great bringing back of the story of the original game and starts the second transition for Raynor. I think Raynor's character is really underrated, even if he can have some gaffes along his 30-year journey. Raynor, I think, after hearing Mengsk's audio tape, switches to the good of everyone into I'm going to defeat him at all costs. Dr. Hansen even exclaims that there will be riots if we broadcast this to the full sector, and she's exactly right. Raynor does want that now. There is no stopping this train whether you are morally correct or not, especially now that Raynor has hired some sketchy people to say the least. And, remember the power of and is Mengsk any better? Is the Dominion any better? Do the people not have the right to know Mengsk committed actual genocide of his fellow humans? It's really a heavy plot point, especially from Raynor's perspective, that I feel like gets glossed over. Time is not always the greatest equalizer, and Raynor is definitely feeling the scars of yesteryear. Plus, I'm sure it boils Jimmy's blood seeing all the news clips vindicating Mengsk. We pick our next mission, and lo and behold, the Protoss are not too happy about Terrans colonizing their fringe border worlds.
Intaro Tassadar, James Raynor. I am Executor Celendis. Your bravery and service to Ire are known to us.
Intaro Tassadar, Celendis. Listen, with all due respect, your fleet needs to pull back. The people on Haven are no threat to you.
Our observers detected Zerg hive spores infesting the colonists. They must be purified.
Especially since they're running from an infestation, and you know how Protoss hate their infestations. They literally blow up planets. After talking with the Protoss fleet over Haven Colony, you have the choice on whether to protect the colony or purify it, as the Protoss say. I picked saving the colony because I really want to roleplay Jimmy as a person with horrible choice making when it comes to women. This was another fun mission where there are multiple objectives to be going after. This mission also showed the player how balancing air units and ground units can be advantageous, especially when the map is not so ground friendly. There wasn't anything too special about the gameplay, but it was always horrifying or cool to see the mothership vortexing my troops.
Purifiers sent our units into a dimensional warp field. The effect should only be temporary, though.
You've done it!
You are as cunning as the stories say, James Raynor. I hope your belief in these colonists will be vindicated.
So I guess this is goodbye, Doc. Well, you've got a lot of cleaning up to do out there.
We'll manage somehow. I just hope you boys stay out of trouble. Those Protoss are bound to be upset.
Well, me and the Protoss go way back. I've helped them out a few times. Figure they might cut me some slack.
You know, you could always stay here. Settle down, make a new start.
Brought to you by Marlboro, seriously?
Guys like me don't get second chances, darling. We just gotta finish what we've begun.
You're a good man, Jim Raynor.
I ain't that good.
What year did this game come out in? We get another artifact mission where we unlock the beautiful siege tank. Seriously, siege tanks and automatic supply depots make this campaign a pure joy. We break through the vault, secure the artifact, and return to the ship, only to be surprised by a familiar face.
Zeratul. I have pierced the veil of the future and beheld only oblivion. Yet one spark of hope remains. You will hold her life in your hands. And though justice demands that she die for her crimes, only she can save us.
Wait a second. You're talking about Kerrigan. It's been 4 years. You show up out of nowhere.
Time is short. You must understand. The answers you seek lie within. Study it well. The fate of creation hangs in the balance.
Nice to see you too.
Zeratul being able to astrally project himself anywhere in the universe seems really cool and underutilized method from him. He can also bring objects? I guess this little thing he hands Jimmy is a memory flask of some sort. It's a great little way of introducing the Protoss into the campaign, even for a limited time. And speaking about time and its limitedness, I will not be showing the full cinematic of Zeratul facing off Kerrigan for the prophecy runes, but you can look it up. And we'll get to those Zeratul missions later, but at first it was kind of weird that someone could just not play those missions, I think. Honestly, I didn't want to go straight into them either, and I almost forgot the damn thing because it was stuck in the medical bay. Anyways, this is probably one of the points where fans of the original are puking their brains out over this anime character and the idea of Manx conceiving a child. Sorry, but it does introduce Manx's son.
Your life right now?
Truth be told, Kate, I've had a crush on you for many years.
Stop.
But in all seriousness, with the Zerg invasion, there's little time for such things.
Our next mission, Engine of Destruction, brings us to hijacking the Odin, a super mech that can help us breach the Dominion's broadcasting network so we can send the audio tape to every person, Protoss, or Zerg in the sector. This mission had a lot of chutzpah to it. Tychus has his radio still transponding, so he can't hear anything Raynor or Horner have to say, which for the future, it's an interesting problem to have. Anyways, you're tasked with helping Tychus the Destroyer out with taking down each of the Dominion's defensive bases. Nothing new or very interesting to see other than wishing Tychus was a little bit faster in that suit. God, I do love Tychus's voice actor. This is pure enjoyment.
Hello there. How'd I miss this button with a skull on it?
And now to the main event.
Even been reported yet. The Dominion have no idea we stole the Odin. I had to call in every favor I had, but I got the Odin on the surface with Tychus inside.
Matt, you're a miracle worker. Must have been a complicated operation.
You don't even want to know, sir. I'm not gonna let anything keep us from exposing Minsk.
So they're still expecting to film it at the UNN studios later today?
That's right. And we won't disappoint them. Seeing as he's the only one with experience, Tychus will pilot the Odin and hit the studio guards with a surprise attack.
I love the setup to this part, and honestly, all the missions that led up to this mean so much more seeing the progression of the narrative. It was a really rewarding moment. Damn, hearing the people go from applauding to running away in horror is pretty staggering.
Let's see what this baby's got.
Odin has gone rogue. Repeat, Odin has gone rogue. Bring it down!
I also loved hearing Arcturus's recorded voice in the background praising the Odin and the Dominion design, all while it destroys unsuspecting Dominion forces. It was a really well-written moment too.
The Dominion's newest weapon of war, the Odin.
It was great for 4 minutes to have almost no opposition. I forgot the meta for this mission in Brutal, but I felt like it still posed a challenge on any difficulty. At least we got to build an accompanying army. With all 3 broadcast towers under control, we spread the good word.
These shocking revelations, a veritable firestorm of anti-Mengsk sentiment.
The Emperor held a news conference earlier today.
How do you respond to these allegations of genocide? Of using aliens to...
I assure you, these slanderous attacks against the throne are baseless and irresponsible.
Sir, do you still stand by the sentiment that selfless devotion to the people is the basis of your rule?
Well, of course. I was called upon to serve the greater interest of humanity. Personal power was never my goal.
Then how would you characterize this statement?
I will not be stopped. Not by you or the Confederates or the Protoss or anyone. I will rule this sector or see it burnt to ashes around me. I won't stand for this. You jackals think you can come in here and question me? This interview is over.
I mean, it's kind of funny that they didn't think of AI voices being able to copy humans, but Arcturus loses his cool, and the Dominion is about to crumble. Yeah, that's not great.
One broadcast. You want us a bigger victory than 100 battles.
I guess you're right. Well, it's what we started this revolution for in the first place. We've got a long way to go. Maybe we started something here.
Hearts and minds, man. Just like you always said.
You know, Matt, someday you're gonna wind up leading this bunch of misfits.
Oh no. That's what I keep you around for, sir.
With all the chaos, the Queen of Blades is back, and she's at Mobius headquarters. I feel like I gave them the benefit of the doubt earlier on, and it's probably just me, but when a white-haired old German doctor that works for a shady biotech firm that wants to destroy cores of information pertaining to what he says is only about the artifacts, well, my bullshit meter goes off.
I'm giving you control of our medevacs, Commander. You can use them to transport your men around the city and avoid most of the Zerg.
Sadly, there are no choices for this mission. I don't even know what they would have been. Maybe just leave the doctor to his own devices? It was a really cool level and makes the use of air-to-ground tactics engaging. Another addition is Kerrigan going along a path, even though I kind of wished it was not so in your face. We do get this piece of information after completing the mission about why Kerrigan wants the artifacts.
Alright, Doctor. You want to tell me why the Queen of Blades wants these artifacts so damn bad?
She fears their power, just as she fears the Xel'Naga who created them. The Xel'Naga created both the Protoss and the Zerg, Commander. They were the gods of their time.
This is probably one of Blizzard's best cinematics and shows Kerrigan being left by Mengsk during the first game. I won't show all of it since you can look it up for yourself, but I have to say this makes me yearn for a StarCraft movie, and a good one, not some brain-dead fart. But I digress. Turns out that this was all in Jimmy's head, and the nightmares are starting to reappear more now that Kerrigan is back in his vicinity. Jimmy also isn't doing well, it seems, as Horner has to address cleaning up after Jimmy, which, if you've ever looked up to someone and then had them go on a bender, you can see the sadness in Horner's eyes. Especially now that they were just celebrating making a true change, however violent and chaotic, seeing Jimmy drinking away the pain of losing Kerrigan is no laughing matter, and goes to show how much he cared for her, even if, again, someone tell me if I'm wrong, they only had like 4 missions together.
Captain Raynor, I finished scouting out the area and you pig.
What? I haven't even said anything to you yet.
Yeah, but you were thinking it.
The next mission we have is Bel Shear. I guess Tosh just loves some special resources because he tasked Jimmy with taking Terrazine from Tal'Darim. And honestly, at this point, I would be pissed too if I was the Protoss. Like, Raynor's line about the Protoss knowing him and all that jazz doesn't hold up if you do them dirty more than 3 times. Anyways, we arrive on the planet and begin our mining project. This mission on brutal difficulty was honestly brutal. And I remember having a very tough time managing to get the 7 Terrazine files. Luckily this time around it was a bit easier. With the vials secured, we make it back to the ship and have this super awkward conversation.
Sir, I received an encrypted transmission from an untraceable source. It claims that Tosh here was part of a classified operation called Project Shadowblade. They used Jorium and Terrazine to enhance ghost powers.
It's true. We are called Spectres, next generation ghosts.
And you were gonna tell me all this when?
We all have our secrets, Mr. Rena. Doesn't mean I'm any threat to you.
Maybe not. But whoever sent this message could be. Matt, any way to verify the transmission?
No, sir. But it does end with, "I'll be in touch soon."
So obviously Tosh has lots of stuff from his past, but at this point, who the hell doesn't?
I repeat, death toll is in the thousands. A Dominion weapons plant exploded hours ago, causing a chain reaction that has taken out
Did Tosh just do that? Why else cut to him in this news brief? So literally during the next mission select, we find out who sent the encrypted message. Nova. Nova is one of Arcturus's ghosts, and I'm starting to see a pattern here, you crotchety old bastard that you are, Mengsk. Nova informs Raynor that every Spectre has gone on some major killing spree, and the ones that Tosh wants to release are tyrants at best. This was a hard choice, and even though most of the armies in this game are psychotic killers and criminals, I love the sniping sound and effect, so I went with Nova.
It don't matter how much you hate Mengsk, Tosh. If you and your Spectres are as bloodthirsty as it sounds, you're as much of a threat as he ever was. I'll be seeing you real soon.
You'll regret this, brother.
This was an APM intensive map, utilizing the ghost skill snipe at every possible moment. I also enjoyed how the map was split into multiple mini-maps that felt huge. It was a great addition to the standard large map, and it was used in missions later on. Ghost killing off even more mutated ghosts with snipes and nukes seriously was an awesome spectacle and a mission that I didn't remember well, but I will now.
You're right, Raynor. A well-placed nuke would wreak some serious havoc on those defenses.
This ain't the end. I'll be seeing you again real soon.
I'm really interested in this cutscene that Tosh is using one of the voodoo dolls to try to hurt Jimmy. The director plays it off like a joke, since Tychus gets the knife to the butt. However, there still is a pin in the head of the doll that's supposed to represent Jimmy. I don't know, that's an interesting way of maybe thinking that Jimmy's drinking or what's going on in his head is not just him.
You're a scumbag, Tosh. I've spent my whole life fighting men like you.
Ha, you and me, we're just the same. We'd both do anything to get the job done.
No, you don't get it at all. And now, you never will.
What you gonna do, man? I'm 6 light years away.
Not me. Cold and efficient. Reminds me of someone I used to know. Glad you're not after me.
Not today, anyway. I'll see you around, Jim.
Don't you ever meet any normal girls?
Anyways, our next mission is Supernova, and oh lord, this level has a wall of lava, or fire, whatever. We're here for another artifact and have a very hot time limit. Again, interesting small mechanic, it makes you move your base multiple times, which as a Terran player, you might encounter on ladder. We end the mission obtaining the artifact to get presented with a nice looking cutscene. I mean, Blizzard top shelf cutscene? I'm instantly intrigued what would happen during this rendezvous with the unknown Mobius organization.
Sir, we've reached the rendezvous coordinates. No contacts. Looks like the Mobius ship hasn't arrived yet.
That's strange. It ain't like them to be late.
Sir, Dominion ship's warping in.
Turn around, Arcturus. I want you to see this coming.
You won't find my father here, Commander. I am Valerian Mengsk, and I own the Mobius Foundation. Through them, I own you as well.
Tell me why I shouldn't kill you right now.
Because I can offer you what you've always wanted. A chance to rescue Sarah Kerrigan.
We finally meet Valerian Mengsk, Mengsk's son, who apparently is the Mobius Foundation, and he has a proposal for Raynor. Yeah, this is pretty monumental, and on a whole story scale, it hits the spot. Love the son being a traitor, but we don't know if he's all legit or just using Jimmy, and for Raynor, being able to right a perceived wrong of his has him on a one-way path to his destiny. Obviously, assaulting Char is not the neatest idea to the whole entire crew, and Char, for people that don't know, is a hell planet, the origin of Raynor's trauma of volcanic planets. So yeah, Jimmy wants to save Kerrigan and will do anything at his disposal to do so. He isn't afraid to burn some bridges.
You'd be putting all our lives on the line just to get your girlfriend back.
This is bigger than all of us, Matt. It ain't about me. This is the only real chance we're ever gonna get, and I'm taking it.
So which is it gonna be, Jimmy? We bringing Kerrigan back, or putting her in the ground?
That's for me to decide. You both got a lot of prep work to do. Get to it.
Valerian has a wild concept of what de-zerging Kerrigan will do to his reputation, and I think Raynor would team up with Space Stalin if he needed to at this point. However, this is when I remembered that the Zeratul missions were there, and oh boy, they were pretty cool.
My quest to decipher the prophecy took me to the forbidden archive world of Zakul. Here, 3 immortal preservers guarded ancient knowledge. Only they could transcribe the prophetic fragments. I needed to seek them out quickly.
So, Raynor takes on the Shard memories, which are Zeratul's and some others, which we'll find out soon. There's some wild lore in here. So for the sake of time and the fact that as cool as these missions are for the story, they lack a lot of monumental gameplay, even for the last epic stand. To sum it up, Zeratul has the prophecy that we briefly saw him fighting Kerrigan over. Yes, it's a trope, but he can't decipher it. He goes out to find certain Protoss that can decipher the runes, but finds a Protoss hybrid, something that I'm surprised he doesn't bring up Duran from Brood War, since wasn't this exactly what he was describing to Zeratul in the bonus mission at the end of Brood War? Anyways, Zeratul then goes to the dead Overmind on Aiur, the Protoss homeworld. This was a great mission visually, and I loved the scale of the map. It really gave you a sense of how big the Overmind was, and all these tendrils that still look like they're featuring on the ground was a perfect visual. Zeratul sees the Overmind's memories as fleeting glimpses of emotion, but then we get this, and all original StarCraft homies stood up and started cheering, right?
Greetings, brother. I speak to you from the beyond. Tassadar. But you died, slaying this cursed Overmind.
Boys, where you at? Yeah, we meet the Star Wars Tassadar. Tassadar drops some truth bombs on Zeratul, mostly about how the Overmind was calibrated forcefully to go after the Protoss race, and that the Overmind made Kerrigan to overthrow whoever morphed the Zerg in the first place. Damn, this has wild implications. Our final memory from the Shard is not from Zeratul himself, but from the Overmind, which kind of fell flat on an audio level since it's not the original voice, and I don't like it.
To their final stand, their heroes will gather. Their forces will be marshaled. Not enough energy. The Hive Cluster is under attack.
However, it does predict some dark shit, like the hybrids enslaving the Zerg and killing off every last Protoss until they have a last stand with all the big names, like a night at the Apollo. This was a cool spectacle, and I love the achievement for killing over, 2,000 enemies or so. We also get this dark voice who is commanding all these units, so we have an unknown enemy that seems to be even worse than Kerrigan.
Rightful children. There was one among you who could have jeopardized my great plan. But in your recklessness, you mistook her for the true threat. You mistook her for the true threat.
Great. As valiant of an effort you can put on, and no matter how many hero units you use, eventually the Dark Force emerges victorious and the Protoss species are wiped out. It was a slow defeat too, which made it feel even more sad. I wonder if that was intentional, that it really waited until every last Protoss was destroyed to give you the end mission stats. Okay, I might be going mad at 7,500 words right now. Anyways, after the vision, we're ready to go back to reality, but with a horrible realization. If Kerrigan dies, we will witness the end of the universe to the Xel'Naga, the progenitor race, or some sort of Protoss hybrid. We don't really know right now.
Hankering for some down-home cooking out there in the space lanes? Come on down to Bubba's Gas and Grub. We got 2 for Tuesdays, featuring barbecue muta wings. Also free plasma charge with each fill-up. Bubba's Gas and Grub. Your space trucker home away from home.
Wow, I love that ad. What I don't love is the last artifact mission. Even though the spectacle is breathtaking and upgrading battle cruisers to 3-3 is almost as satisfying as leveling my RuneScape character to a 99, this level was difficult to say the least. Luckily, if you take your time with it and build up your resources, repairing your battle cruisers will lead you to certain victory. You can also free Dark Templar from their prisons, which helped a little bit, but I wanted to point it out for the visual alone. After a slow and methodical push into the energy shields, they send in the big guns. Yeah, seeing the mothership teleporting in was pretty badass, but nothing our battlecruisers can't handle. I guess a lot of people are pissed that Raynor is taking orders from the Little Prince, and even worse, that they've been working for him since Artifact 1.
Join this outfit to fight the Dominion, not work for him.
Tychus and Swan duke it out until Raynor hits the jukebox.
You got 'em all fooled, don't you, Jimmy? But the first sign of trouble, you'll just duck and run. It's what you do, ain't it? Me, them, that pretty little girlfriend of yours.
Damn, Jimmy is a badass, but holy shit, the way he rallies his crew after this almost coup is kind of lackluster, and when I experienced it, was kind of disappointed. Everyone's qualms about just going to work for the Dominion get washed away because, oh, we can save 1 billion lives. Bro, let me tell you, the Zerg are not going to stop whether Kerrigan is alive or dead. Plus, don't you know that there's like a progenitor race out there that could literally kill off the universe?
You think he's right? I'm just gonna run out on you?
You got us working for the Dominion now, Commander. Taking us back to Char. It's like you're gone already.
This ain't about the Dominion. Our war's always been about saving lives. If the Zerg wipe everyone out, it's all been for nothing. So I'm going back to Char. If you're with me, it's your choice. Just like it's always been.
Now that's the commander I've been waiting on.
Oh well, anyways. And now Char, the primary Zerg hive. This had me again turning my spine into a shiver machine. I even bought out most of the mercenaries I had neglected for the rest of the campaign. Raynor gets to talk to Tychus about why he got so mad back in the bar, but at this point Tychus is talking to himself about old times and something is very amiss. Anyways, we head to Char.
You're in way over your head. What makes you think you have the experience to...
He ain't alone, Arcturus.
Raynor. I don't know what gutter my son fished you out of, but even you've got to realize that treacherous bitch cannot be saved. And neither can you.
We'll see about that. And when this is over, you and me got a score to settle.
Prince Valerian, we have Zerg attack waves incoming.
Already?
Clear the bridge. I got a battle to win.
I'll see you boys on the ground.
Damn, again, this is the scale that I think a lot of people want to see. What a way to start a war on this planet. Things are not going well for the invasion, and battle cruisers are getting blown out of orbit quickly. Without any base of operations and creep everywhere, we're in bad shape.
Looks like the few battle groups that did make it to the surface scattered all over the place.
Do you think death is the worst thing that can happen to you here? Infestation is what's coming for you. Soon all will serve the swarm.
She's trying to get in our heads, man. We gotta keep it together.
Oh yeah, and the way she delivers that line, holy moly, that is haunting. Gathering an army doesn't take too long, and spearheading the Zerg forces felt so satisfying considering the circumstances. This is another underrated cutscene, and I'm going to use it for a little talk about the game so far. Hasn't StarCraft 2 been freaking awesome? Apart from some cheesy lines and maybe some characters that felt over the top or out of place, StarCraft 2 packed so many punches that even Raynor's cute main character alcoholism and obsession with his ex can't keep me away from thinking how much I wish for another StarCraft game. And maybe with a bit more grit.
Heard you boys needed some help.
We came as fast as we could.
Ain't no time to be lying down on the job, General.
You magnificent son of a bitch. You're the last man I expected to see.
Boys, I hate to interrupt, but the natives are getting restless.
Thanks for the rescue, but I hope it ain't just the two of you.
General, you know I've always got a card to play.
We get another absolutely incredible menu, displaying the Viking, which, good Christ, I don't use them regularly in the ground form, but that thing is incredible. Raynor and friends need to destroy either the Nidus network or the air support. I don't know which one was the best choice, but we went with the tunnels. This was a fun APM mission with all the heroes, and it made me feel like I was back in Warcraft 3, or something akin to that. I really enjoyed using everyone's specials, and it felt very tense up until the end.
Us too if we don't get the hell out of here.
The charges are counting down, hotshot. Damn straight we gotta go. Here.
Oh, hell, the lava's rising.
That was the whole idea, Tychus. Now run for the extraction point, you idiot.
We finally detonate the final charges, taking out the Nidus network, and get another cutscene. Honestly, I was a little interested about the pacing here, since it felt a bit dragged out, even if I enjoyed what I was seeing and hearing.
Good to see you on your feet, General.
Well, we'll see how long that lasts.
Also, don't forget, Jimmy and Kerrigan only went on 4 missions together. Raynor and company finally have the artifact up and running, which has the great effect of turning any Zerg within the vicinity into ash. For the final stand in StarCraft 2, this is one of the better ones. Even though it was kind of funny to have done the similar last stand just a couple of missions ago, but with the Protoss. Anyways, this mission has one of the most horrifying and badass lines.
Warning. Class 10 Zerg flyer detected.
Holy Sir, scanners show the largest Zerg biosignature I've ever seen, and it's headed your way.
Yeah, seeing that Zerg coming at the base made me realize that this universe could really add anything they want to it, and I'd be happy with it. I mean, all in relativity, right? Seeing what the Zerg can produce on their homeworld was stunning, and taking down this gargantuan was a feat in itself. Damn, this game is gory. We hit Kerrigan with the fully charged artifact, and blam, final cutscene.
Sarah.
You reading all this?
You have your orders, Mr. Findlay. Carry them out.
Oh shit, I know that voice anywhere. Tychus, why does it have to end like this?
Tychus, what have you done?
I made a deal with the devil, Jimmy. She dies, I go free.
We all got our choices to make.
Damn shame.
Wow, what a spectacle! So that's StarCraft 2. What do you think? I would love to read your comments down below, and your thoughts on the game as a standalone, lore-wise, in terms of the universe of StarCraft. You name it, I want to talk about it. And here are my final thoughts, and I do want to say before, thank you so much for taking the time with this video. It means a lot to me to be able to talk about topics and themes from games that mean a lot to both of us. I assume that because you're still here. And then an even bigger thank you to the people that watched the original StarCraft retrospectives. I hope that I referenced a bit from my own videos, and it felt like a good progression. So, final thoughts. This is off the cuff. This is not scripted, and it took about 3 days after finishing the campaign to really wrap my head around this game. But as a sequel to StarCraft, I think it does so many good things, but I think the tonage, or the tone, and the atmosphere changed a bit to try to sell the game to a broader audience. I think if they had gone the darker route like 40K has gone back then, it might not have, I mean, this is all conjecture. I think that the feeling was it might not have done as well. So even though this game does have some really amazing gory effects, like I don't know if you saw during the video itself, but I tried to show off some of the amazing death animations, or just seriously, just animations that all ran in 120 FPS perfectly. There's so much in this game. There's so much meat to this game, with the characters, with the story, how the story is going to continue. I mean, that's a cliffhanger that we just left on. Is Kerrigan cured? We don't know. Is Arcturus, I mean, Arcturus is still leader of the Dominion, even with getting canceled, and his son is leading a pseudo-rebellion reputation march. There's a lot of different pieces going around, which I absolutely love, and I'm so excited to start playing Heart of the Swarm, because I have no recollection of either Heart of the Swarm or the Protoss for the final StarCraft 2 game. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But I mean, to wrap up this video, I truly think people should replay the game and experience it for themselves if they think the story is not as good as StarCraft 1. I know comparing nostalgia is very hard, and I might get flamed for it in the comments, but I think StarCraft 2 does a better job at showing the story and the narrative, visually speaking, gameplay-wise, and just like what is actually happening. I think StarCraft 1's atmosphere and ambiance do a much better job, and I wish they combined the two, like the visuals of StarCraft 1 into StarCraft 2. That would have been really cool, but with all the added additions of 2010 gameplay. Now, I know someone mentioned in the retrospective of, I think, Brood War, that someone or a team had modded StarCraft 1 into StarCraft 2. So I really, at this point, I really do need to try that out. And that's it for me. I'm going to drink some Gatorade and have a lozenge because I've been sitting at my computer for 3.5 hours recording this. Just thank you so much. If you're still here, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It is amazing, the community that we are creating together. I always respect and want to hear your opinions and thoughts on the games I cover, or thoughts and opinions on other gaming topics. I hope that you are well this holiday season or wherever this video finds you. And if you really enjoyed the video, check out my channel. There's something there for everyone. I make sure of it. And as always, see you next time.
Jim? It's okay. I got you.
I'm just a baby.